I had been married for 7 years, yet I remained without a child. One day, my angry mother-in-law, Deborah, pushed me hard and shouted, "You're not a real woman. You can't even give birth." She called me a failure and ordered me to leave the room immediately and sleep on the balcony. I was stunned by her reaction, but what broke my heart the most was my husband, Alex, silently standing beside his mother, supporting her. I left the room as she demanded, but I knew something had to change. I decided to take action. Hello everyone, my name is Grace, and I want to share my story. It's a story of love, conflict, and ultimately the struggle for independence. 7 years ago, I believed I had my life figured out. I was a 30-year-old marketing executive, completely dedicated to my career and passionate about my work. I married Alex, who was 34, and we both shared dreams of building a life together. But life took a turn I never expected. Alex and I met at a corporate event. He was charming, ambitious, and we quickly fell in love. Our wedding felt like the beginning of a fairy tale. We were eager to start a family, but we also wanted to enjoy our freedom for a while, so we decided to wait a couple of years before having children. Looking back, that decision seemed innocent enough, but little did I know it would lead to years of pressure and disappointment. Things changed dramatically when Alex's father, George, had a stroke. The family insisted we move into their home in Chicago to help care for him. I didn't want to go. I loved our little apartment filled with memories and laughter. But family obligations prevailed, and we relocated to his parents' house. I thought it would be temporary, just a few months at most. Living with Alex's family was a huge adjustment. The house was always bustling, filled with tension and unspoken rules. His mother, Deborah, was especially difficult. She was a homemaker with very traditional views on marriage and motherhood. From the moment I stepped into their home, I felt the weight of her expectations. Deborah believed a woman's worth came from her ability to bear children, and since Alex and I didn't have kids yet, I quickly became her target. At first, the criticism was subtle. "You should really learn to cook better," she'd say, dismissing my attempts in the kitchen. "Alex works hard. A wife should support him more." It stung, but I tried to brush it off. I focused on my career, working late hours, determined to show them I could contribute financially. I thought that if I worked hard enough, Deborah would see my worth beyond the traditional role she expected of me. However, as months turned into years, the criticisms grew harsher. I remember one particular evening after a long day at work, coming home to find Deborah waiting for me. "You know, Grace, a real woman knows how to take care of her family. I just don't see how you fit into that picture," she sneered, her voice dripping with disdain. I felt crushed. Despite my accomplishments, I was made to feel inadequate. And Alex? At first, he stood up for me. "Mom, Grace works hard. We're trying to have a baby. These things take time," he would say. But as the pressure built, I sensed him starting to cave under his mother's expectations. I felt utterly alone. The breaking point came when Alex's sister, Diana, returned home unexpectedly. She was pregnant and recently divorced, and her arrival sent the household into a frenzy. Deborah was overjoyed, and for good reason. A grandchild was on the way. But when she announced that Diana would need my room, I was taken aback. "Grace, you'll have to move to the balcony," Deborah ordered, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. I did not expect it when my mother-in-law suddenly pushed me hard and spoke loudly. "You are not a real woman. You are a failure. You cannot give birth." I was shocked, and my heart broke at these harsh words. I couldn't believe it. "Mom, that's not fair," Alex protested, but his voice was weak. I stood there in disbelief, feeling the weight of her words suffocating me. "You're not a real woman if you can't make sacrifices for family." Deborah snapped at me, calling me names that cut deeper than I ever thought possible. "Alex, please," I begged, hoping he would stand by me, but he remained silent, caught between his wife and his mother. In that moment, I felt a rage boiling inside me. How could he let her talk to me like that? I decided right then that enough was enough. I moved to the balcony, but I also decided to take action. I couldn't keep giving my all to a family that didn't appreciate me. So, I stopped all financial support. I ceased paying for groceries and bills, effectively withdrawing my contribution. I felt empowered for the first time in ages, but it was a double-edged sword. The family relied on my income, and I knew it would hit them hard. As the days passed, the tension in the house escalated. Deborah and Alex were furious, their financial strain becoming more evident. I could hear them arguing in the evenings, their voices raised, blaming each other for our predicament. I felt a strange sense of satisfaction, knowing I was finally taking control of my life. A month later, I received an apology from both Alex and Deborah. They realized how much they relied on me, not just financially, but also to maintain harmony in the household. But my heart had hardened. Their apologies felt insincere, just another way to manipulate me back into their control. I had made my decision. I was done. The life I had envisioned for myself, one filled with love and mutual respect, was slipping away. I planned to file for divorce, packed my belongings, and began planning my escape to New York. I left behind a life that had become a cage, ready to reclaim my independence. Moving to New York was both terrifying and liberating. As I settled into my new apartment, a small but cozy space in a lively neighborhood, I felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. The city buzzed around me, people hustling, cars honking, life pulsing with energy. It was a stark contrast to the suffocating silence of Alex's family home. For the first time in years, I could breathe. I quickly threw myself into my work at a new marketing firm. It felt invigorating to be surrounded by ambitious colleagues who shared my passion.
Thank you.
I took on challenging projects, reigniting my creative spark and reminding myself of what I was capable of. Each success felt like a personal victory, a testament to my independence and resilience.
What does that mean?
However, despite my newfound freedom, memories of my past haunted me. I missed the idea of family, the love I once thought I had with Alex. I often found myself reflecting on the emotional scars left by my time with Deborah. I spent sleepless nights wrestling with doubt. Had I made the right choice? The weight of those years lingered in my heart, a reminder of the struggles I had endured.
That's perfect.
Then, one evening, as I was working late, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Alex. Can we talk? I miss you. My heart sank. I hadn't heard from him since I left. A mix of anger and longing flooded my mind. Part of me wanted to respond, to hear him out, but another part screamed to keep moving forward. After some deliberation, I agreed to meet him at a coffee shop in my neighborhood. When I walked in, I spotted him sitting in a corner, looking both relieved and anxious. His face brightened when he saw me, but I could sense the tension between us. Grace, he said, standing up as I approached. I'm really glad you came. He sounded sincere, yet uncertain. Hi, Alex, I replied, forcing a smile.
For y'all.
We sat down, the atmosphere thick with unspoken words.
I'm gonna do a cover of Blue.
I've missed you, he finally said, his gaze dropping to the table. Things have been really hard at home.
Young Kai.
Mom keeps asking about you. My stomach tightened. And what about you? How are **U** handling it?
I'm a little shy.
Honestly, it's tough.
Okay.
She keeps trying to convince me to get you to come back. She thinks **You're the problem, he admitted, his voice wavering. I couldn't help but laugh bitterly. *Me, I'm the problem. *Alex, you saw how she treated me. I didn't leave for no reason. I know, but it's complicated. She's my mom. I can't just ignore her, he said, sounding defensive. As we talked, I realized that while Alex hadn't changed, I had. It was time to let go and move forward. Alex, I'm happy now. I don't want to go back to that toxic environment. His expression fell, and I could see the hurt in his eyes. I don't want to lose you, Grace. I wish things could be different. It's not just about us anymore. I need to find my own path, I replied, tears welling up. I can't keep sacrificing my happiness for your family's approval. After that meeting, I walked through the city, feeling a mix of relief and sorrow. I had finally asserted my independence, but the pain of leaving Alex behind lingered. The city felt alive, and I reminded myself
what?
that I was
Oh,
finally
nothing?
in
That
control
was
of my
really
destiny.
good. That was
Days
super
turned into
good.
weeks, and I
I'm,
immersed
I'm,
myself
I'm a
in my
little
work.
pissy right now because
I
I'm
made
really
new
nervous.
friends who
Yeah.
inspired
No,
me
that was
and
so good.
encouraged my ambition.
Okay, thank you.
I took classes to expand my skills, pushing myself further than I ever thought possible.
Okay, thank you.
However, the pressure from
Bye-bye, thank
Alex's
you.
family
Wait, guys, this is
never
really
fully
bad.
vanished.
First one
Deborah
goes in,
called
you're like, oh,
occasionally,
you're in first
trying
place,
to
you're in
guilt
first
trip
place.
me.
I said, everyone's so
You
good,
were part
no?
of this family, Grace. You
Okay,
can't just
since he
abandon
made
us,
me
she
moisten
would
up a
say,
little bit, I
her
think he
tone
deserves
harsh
to be in
and
the running.
accusatory.
Okay, because I did
Each
moisten,
call left
so
me
that means
drained,
something,
but I
right?
held firm. I'm not
Alright,
abandoning
listen.
anyone, Deborah. I'm choosing to live for myself
Hello?
now.
Hello,
I was
camera,
determined to
please.
protect my peace.
I
One
got you,
day, I
hold on.
received a
Alright.
frantic
Yeah,
call
Talon
from
is getting a
Deanna.
little bit better
Grace,
chat.
I really need to talk to
Hello.
you.
Wait, let me
It's about
readjust
Mom,
this.
she
Alright, what is your
said,
talent?
her voice trembling. I could hear the
don't really got a
desperation
talent,
and
but, like,
worry
I'm
in her
gonna just sing
tone.
a song.
Okay.
We met at a cafe near my
Alright,
apartment. She looked exhausted, her
I'm gonna
eyes
sing a
red
song
and
called
puffy.
Don't by Bryson
Mom
Tiller.
hasn't
Oh, I
stopped
love that
pressuring
song.
me since you left,
Alright,
she confessed.
Alright.
She keeps telling me I'm the reason you left and that I need to convince you to come back. My heart sank as I listened. Deanna, you can't take that on. It's not your responsibility. You have your own life to live and a baby on the way. You don't need to bear the burden of our family's dysfunction. Tears welled up in her eyes, but she won't stop. I feel like I'm constantly failing her, and now I'm scared I'll fail my own child too. I reached across the table and held her hand. You're not failing anyone. You have to put yourself and your baby first. Set boundaries with her. Don't let her guilt you into sacrificing your happiness. Diana nodded, but I could see the fear in her eyes. I knew it wouldn't be easy for her to stand up to Deborah, but I hoped my words would help her find the courage to protect herself. A few days later, Alex reached out, asking if we could meet. I hesitated, unsure if I wanted to reopen old wounds, but I agreed. We met at a park, and I was struck by how tired he looked, like he was carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders.
Super good. Good job, Bex.
Grace, I've been thinking a lot about everything,
Okay.
he began.
Thank you for coming on.
I realize how much I let my family come
Bye.
between us.
That wasn't
I should have stood
bad.
up
That
for
was
you,
cute.
but I
didn't
didn't,
mean to laugh.
and
I
I'm
was
so
laughing 'cause
sorry.
How cute it was, you know?
His apologies
Adorable.
stirred something in
Yeah,
me,
clap for him.
but
So
I
my
knew
one
it wasn't
hair is
enough.
bothering me.
Alex,
Okay,
I
we have a lot of
appreciate
people
your
now. Oh my
words,
God, I'm getting
but
nervous.
it's too late.
Oh,
I
look,
filed for
everyone's
divorce.
in.
I need to move forward,
Hello,
and that
Frosty.
means leaving all of this behind. He looked devastated,
Hello?
but nodded slowly. I understand.
Okay, Frosty's
I
left.
just wish I had done things differently.
Okay, Frosty left.
I wish things had
Alright,
been
let's bring in
different
JJ.
too, but we
JJ,
can't
you're
change the
also
past.
deafened,
I
so
have
we
to
can
do
hear
what's
you on
right for me
screen.
now, I said firmly.
Hello,
As I
hello?
walked away
Hello,
from
camera,
that
please.
conversation, I felt a
yes, sorry,
strange
one
sense of
sec.
closure. I had made my choice, and it was the right one for me.
Where?
It was time to let
there.
go and focus on building a
There it
life
is.
I deserved.
Hello,
In the
what is your
following
talent?
weeks, I
Can you
found
see me?
myself
we
growing
see
more
you.
Hello?
confident
Hi,
and at
I'm
peace.
JJ.
I
What's
threw
up?
myself into
Oh,
my
so
work
Colleen's
and
I'm
in
here-
the
even
show.
took
I
up
remember
painting
you.
again.
Yes, that's me.
Each
That's me.
brushstroke
Lemon,
felt like
Good
a
to see you again.
reclaiming of
Welcome
my
back.
identity,
Whoa.
a way to express
Whoa,
all
whoa.
the
Let
emotions
me
I
actually,
had kept locked away for
let
so
kidding,
me
I'm
long.
just
prove that
kidding.
wrong,
No.
actually.
Then,
Yeah,
I got you. I
one
got you.
evening,
I'm here to prove
Deanna
that
called
wrong.
again, but this time her voice was
I'm
stronger.
here to sing. I'm here to
Grace,
sing.
I finally told Mom
Put on
I
a
need
show.
space.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Maybe
easy,
this
know,
is
I'll-
really
but I
good.
did
I'll
it.
send it to Colleen
I'm
and she'll
trying to
fall in
set
love
those
all over
boundaries
again.
you talked about.
That's what I'm hoping
I felt
for.
a
That's what I'm
surge
hoping
of
for.
pride. That's
Okay.
incredible,
But,
Diana. I'm so proud of you. It's
alright.
not easy, but it's a step in the right direction. As we ended
I'm
the
kidding.
call,
I'm dancing.
I felt a sense of hope. Maybe
Do
my
you want
journey
to?
wasn't just about finding my own freedom, but also about helping
The
Diana
hell is
find hers.
this?
I knew there were still challenges ahead, but I was ready to face them. I was finally learning to let go of the past and embrace the future I had always wanted. After filing for divorce, I felt a mix of emotions, relief, sadness, and fear. It was a tough decision, but I knew it was the right one. I needed to free myself from the toxic environment and finally live for me. I had spent so much time trying to fit into a life that wasn't mine, and now it was time to move forward, leaving everything behind.
Is that funny?
The divorce process was exhausting.
Wow,
Alex
this
tried to
work on me, though.
convince me to reconsider, saying he would stand up to his mother and that we could start fresh. But I knew that going back would only trap me
Guys,
again.
who's better at
I
dancing,
told
him
him
or
firmly,
J-Shep?
Alex, I'm done. This isn't just about your mother. It's about me needing my own life, one where I'm not constantly judged or undervalued. He looked devastated, but he knew I meant it. When the papers were signed, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. I was officially free from a marriage that had drained me emotionally.
That was pretty good.
It wasn't just about ending things
I
with
think you're a
Alex,
better dancer
but
than
about
Bishop.
reclaiming my identity and my
Think
voice.
so? Oh, I love
Deborah,
watching that guy dance,
predictably,
though.
didn't take the news
I
well.
think you're
Yeah,
better.
She
yeah.
called me
Sorry,
furious,
You think so?
accusing me of tearing
Yeah.
the family apart. How
What'd
could you do
think?
this to
You,
us? To Alex? You're
think it's,
selfish,
top
she shouted,
worthy?
her voice full of
I
bitterness.
did write your name down.
But this
I
time,
did write it down.
I didn't let
Okay,
her
okay,
words
okay.
affect me.
I'll take it.
I think
Deborah,
this is really
I'm
fertile
not
right now, so
responsible
any
for your
dancing, like, it
happiness
makes my
or your
eggs, like,
family's.
tingle, so I'm just
I
really
need
not
to
bad,
take
but
care
that's
of
the only reason
myself
why I
now, I said
I'll-
calmly, feeling
Bet,
a strength
bet,
I
bet.
hadn't felt
Thank
before.
you,
You think so?
I hung up,
Awesome,
knowing it
okay.
was the
Looking
last
forward to
time
the
I'd allow
results.
her to manipulate
Okay,
me.
bye, JJ, thank you for
I
that.
decided to cut
Thank you,
ties with
thank
all
you.
of them,
Bye.
including Deanna.
Yeah, I tingled.
As much
had
as
to
I
write his
cared
name
about
down. I
her,
don't know.
I realized I needed to distance myself
Sorry, Deja.
completely to
The
heal.
dancing, I think it went
I
to
sent her
him.
a
I don't
heartfelt
know.
message explaining that I needed space
Okay,
to
tell me
move
what
on.
stinks in here.
It hurt to let go, but I knew
Almost
it was
think.
necessary.
Hey,
In the
Pookie.
months that followed,
Hey,
I
Pookie.
poured myself into
Oh.
building my new life.
I'm actually
I
so
focused
fucking
on
mean
my
today.
career,
Uh,
taking
I
on
can't help
challenging
it.
projects that
Sorry.
reignited
What'd you
my
call it?
passion for marketing. I moved into a beautiful new
I think we
apartment
both know,
overlooking
right?
Central
I do a
Park,
Cassie rewrite
a
every
place
time.
that truly felt like
I haven't done a
mine.
talent show in
I
like
began
almost a year,
exploring
I
the
think,
city,
so
joining
I
art
forgot.
classes,
Yeah, I
and
did
making
have this
new
song
friends who
written, like, a
valued
year
and
ago.
respected me for who I was.
I had to rewrite a
It
lot
wasn't
of words.
always
Thank
easy.
you.
There were days when I felt
That's great.
lonely, wondering if I had made the right choices.
One second.
But those moments were fleeting. Each
you
time,
smizing right
I
now?
reminded myself
Your
of the
eyes
strength
look-
it took to walk
I don't
away
have
from a life
contacts.
that was
I didn't feel like putting
suffocating.
contact
okay,
in.
no one.
One day, as I was walking through Central Park, I realized just how far I had come. I had let go of the pain and
I can
resentment
hear
that
the
had weighed
stream
me
in
down
the
for so
thing, make
long.
sure you
I was
mute the
no
stream.
longer the woman who felt
Wait.
trapped and powerless. I was independent,
Okay.
confident, and
So, like-
finally at peace.
It's fine.
It's my
Looking
favorite.
back,
Oh,
I see that my journey wasn't just about leaving a
Stop.
toxic marriage
Don't mind me,
or
don't
an
mind me, don't mind me,
overbearing
don't mind me.
family.
When did I
It
say
It was
that?
about finding
That is
myself
AI.
again.
That is
My
AI.
voice,
I literally
my
never
strength,
said that in my life.
my worth. I had to let go of everything that was holding me back to embrace
It's-
the
I
it's like a
future I
literally never
producer
deserve.
tech.
said that.
Now,
Yeah,
I
I
wake up
promise you
every
this
day
is you.
excited for what's ahead.
Austin, I wanna eat your
I've
ass
started
so
mentoring
bad.
young women in my
I think it was in
industry,
the dating app
sharing my
profile,
experiences
or
and helping
on the
them
dating-
navigate their
Colleen's
own
dating.
paths. It's incredibly fulfilling, knowing that I can use my story to inspire others to stand up for themselves and never settle for less than they deserve. I've learned that true independence isn't just about being alone. It's about living authentically, making choices that align with who you are, and refusing to let anyone diminish your light. I'm proud of the woman I've become, and I'm excited for the future I'm building, one that's truly my own.